Good evening, everyone. My name is John O'Paro, and I am the CEO of Recycle Revolution.
My name is Darian Dodson, and I'm the COO of Recycle Revolution.
And my name is Drew Bryan. I am the CFO of Recycle Revolution. And 14%. I'm going to ask you to join us in the demonstration real quick to show the magnitude of this number. If the two on the end here will remain seated, and everybody else stand up. The two remaining seating is the percentage of apartment complexes that divert their overall waste from the landfill. 14%. Thank you. And so I'll kick it back to John for the intro.
Thank you, Drew. So our initiative, we're calling it the Zero Waste Initiative. It has to do with the DFW area because we are one of the biggest cities in the country. Okay, so we are partnering up with National Recycle Solutions in order to help a big proprietor company like Camden, which has apartments all over the DFW area, in order to better recycle. Not to start recycling because we already are recycling, but how to better do it, because so many people don't know what they're doing wrong with recycling. They think that throwing just paper and recycle bin, that's it. There's a lot more to that, and so our program is made to educate, I guess re-educate on how to better recycle. All right. And that's basically our initiative. That's right there, landfill, and that's what we want to avoid. What we want to avoid is just having a pile of trash, not really knowing what to do with it. Where are the tax dollars going for not recycling properly, correct? That's where we want to go, not that route, this route. And our motto basically is, a clean earth is just a path for us to go forward. There's no other way but to go greener and cleaner. And so that's what we want to aspire to and encourage not only us as obviously as a city, but we want to inspire other cities as well in this nation to become greener, because we see cities like LA, like New York, they're very polluted, and us being one of the first pioneers of having zero waste, that's what we want to inspire as well. Now, we're going to look at the agenda of the program. We're going to talk about the problem, the proposal of the solution, the schedule of the education process that we're going to go through, and how we're going to measure our success. Now I'm going to pass it over to Drew here. He's going to show us our diversion rates.
Thank you, John. First things first, the problem. And so there's a percentage on the screen behind me for the city of Dallas. Can someone tell me what that is? 20%. Thank you. And so what that is the overall diversion rate for the city of Dallas. And so what the diversion rate is the amount of waste that has been diverted away from the landfill of the total waste produced within the city of Dallas. And so there was another percentage that we presented at the beginning of this presentation. Can someone tell me what that was? 14%. So our target audience are apartment complexes in Dallas. A combination of office companies, hotels, and apartment complexes account for 14% of the waste diverted from those places. Apartment complexes are the worst contributor of those three, so it's actually less than 14% for apartment complexes. So which brings us to our real problem, and that's poor waste management by apartment complexes in the DFW area. And so with the problem presented, John's going to go over the proposal for us next.
So I kind of talked about this in the introduction. Our goal is to have zero waste, as mentioned. So what we're going to do is we're going to partner up with the National Recycling Solutions in order to help a big proprietary management company, Camden, to better recycle. And Darian, here's kind of show you how we're gonna do that exactly, gonna go into the details.
Okay, so I know we already asked you guys to sit up and stand down for a second. Now we're going to go ahead and give you a little quiz to keep you going. In this bin, we have a couple of common items that you would just normally have to throw away at your house. I'm going to ask you paper bag, just recycle bin, right? And then we have metal tin, recycle bin, right? What about this cardboard Cheerio box? Just recycle bin, right? But you have to make sure that you're taking out the plastic out of it when you put it in the recycle bin, because the whole point of recycling is to get it down to a single substance, so cardboard and plastic. And then I have a used pizza box here too, right? Cardboard again, you just throw it in the recycle bin. You need to split up the bottom from the top, because recycling doesn't want this nasty, greasy cardboard in the landfill. And then just some other things, we have a glass jar, also recyclable, but you want to make sure that you're taking off the metal top. And that's how some quick things that I know I didn't know whenever we started recycling, that helps save time in the recycling plants and keeps us going towards that diversion rate that we want. I'm going to give it back to Drew to go ahead and talk about the schedule of our program.
Thank you, Darian. And so what he highlighted is our education curriculum as a part of our education curriculum. From day one, where we're going to start is with a waste audit. And what the purpose of the waste audit is to measure their current diversion rate, which in some cases it may be close to zero, very close to zero for some apartment complexes, as you saw and we presented in one of the previous slides. It was around 14%. So from there, we're going to move to site prep on day 2 to prepare for the recyclable containers that need to go in place all throughout the facility, to post all the signage and education materials that direct the residents to the correct place to place everything. And then from there, we move to day 3, which will be the education as a part of that curriculum Darian just went through and covered for all of you. And then from there, we'll move to day 4. After that education seminar, we'll move to day 4, where we'll have the time to practice, essentially, where we start the actual period of following these new recycle procedures for the apartment complex itself. And so we'll basically allow that for a week's worth of time. And from there, at the end of it on day 10, we will have another waste audit to determine their final diversion rate. Okay? So we can see at the beginning of the project what their first diversion rate was and how they improved throughout. And that would conclude our schedule of events and plan for the complex, in which we will move to Darian for a video real quick.
So in this video, it's going to go through just more recycling tips to better go with our curriculum, just give you guys a little more of an impact of how we're trying to teach everyone the correct ways to recycle.
Into a single material. Now it also depends on where you live as to what you can recycle, because every municipality is different. Where I live in Los Angeles, we can actually recycle a lot of things that can't be recycled in other parts of the country. We can recycle things like styrofoam. So you should find out, because municipalities are constantly updating their recycling program. But almost anything can be recycled that can be broken down into a single material. Another great tip is to Google, how can I recycle everything? There's lots of websites out there that have tips on how to recycle things, including websites where you can send printer cartridges, prom brushes, almost anything under the sun that you can think of, so that it can get recycled and used into something else. So there's lots of great ways to recycle things. But think about, can it be broken down into a single material?
We didn't want to play the entire thing for you because she goes a little bit into what he talked about, and so they'll be a little bit repetitive.
All right, so real quickly, we're gonna go over some of the success measures because we wanna make sure that our program, what we're doing is gonna be successful. We're gonna start by calculating the diversion rate, which we showed at the very beginning, which was that 14% and that 20%. It's actually the calculation of the total waste under the waste that was diverted correctly. So we're gonna take it before the program begins, and then once the program ends to see if there was a change in there to be able to tell whether or not the program was successful. Then there's another way we can test by using the EPA waste method, which that's the way of telling how much carbon has been released from the trash in the landfills. We can take it before and after again as well. And then we're gonna conduct a waste management audit, which Drew had touched on a little bit, but also going into the waste management companies themselves, because someone has to come collect the trash. We're gonna see the usage from before and after the audit, whether they're actually going to these apartment complexes more than they have been in the future. And then we're gonna take a survey of the apartment residents to see if they found the program helpful, whether they would recycle in the future from what they've learned, and if they change their ways a little bit. And then we're gonna go ahead and start talking about the staffing as well, because someone has to work this. We're gonna have one on-site rep to be able to manage the entire program. And then we're gonna have 2 curriculum coordinators, which is what I had did with you guys. They're going to go through the correct ways to recycle, what you should and shouldn't recycle, how you should split it up. And then we're gonna have 2 waste auditors, which are gonna oversee the actual auditing of the waste, making sure that whenever it is recycled, it's recycled correctly. We're gonna have 10 waste collectors to be able to actually collect the waste. Like I said, someone has to come pick it up. And then we're gonna use 20 apartment employees. I'm gonna pass it off back to Drew. He's gonna go over the budget.
Thank you, Darian. We're asking for $6,750 from the chamber. Our project total we estimate to be $13,500. From that, we expect the equipment to account for $9,500, the supplies to account for $2,500, and the labor to account for $1,500. So once again, we're asking for half of our project total for the contribution of $6,750. And so if you go to the next slide, John will highlight $13.50 per resident. We estimate with our project total divided by the number of residents at one of the Camden apartment complexes that we are pushing this program with 1,000 residents, that it will be $13.50 per resident. And so now I'll pass it back to John, and he will conclude us.
All right, so why is the Dallas Chamber of Commerce interested in green energy, right? We see that their vision and our vision really align. Their vision is that they want to make a better tomorrow. And like I said before, there's no way to move forward but to move green, but to move in a more aware stance and as far as the environment. So we were asking the Dallas Chamber of Commerce to consider this, because if we combine their vision and our vision, we're going to make a better Dallas, and we're going to make a greener Dallas. And so that's going to help. And like I said before, it will inspire not only the people in Dallas, but the people in other cities. We're one of the biggest, I'll repeat, we're one of the biggest cities in the country, and we're not the most polluted yet. We're not like Houston. So we don't want to get to that point. We don't want to get to the brink of that point. We want to be the pioneer of the first major green city in the United States. And that will hopefully inspire the cities like Chicago, New York, LA. And do we have any questions?
Yeah, what was